Welcome to the ShadowBear Story Sessions, the podcast about brutally dark, insanely hilarious old folk tales and fairy tales. We're going through the original versions, the original gritty versions of Grimm's fairy tales. Today's tale titled The Frog Prince. I don't know if this is the Frog Prince that we're all familiar with. I mean, I feel like there's a million variations on the Frog Prince. Basic is just, there's a frog, a lady kisses it, he becomes a prince. Let's see if that's what we're in for and what else happens here. We begin. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 3 daughters, and in his courtyard there was a well with beautiful clear water. On a hot summer's day, the eldest daughter went down to the well and scooped out a glass full of water. However, when she looked at it and held it up to the sun, she saw that the water was murky. She found this very unusual and wanted to scoop out another glass when a frog stirred in the water, stuck his head up high, and finally jumped onto the edge of the well, where he spoke. He said, "If you'll be my sweetheart, my dear, I'll give you water clearer than clear." That sounds shady as hell, if you ask me. That sounds super suspicious. Like, what did you do to the water that was here before? That was perfectly fine water. That water was super clear. Why are you here now? What have you done? Why are you poisoning my well and now bribing me to make the well water okay to drink again? If you'll be my sweetheart, like romantic bribery, like not cool, not an okay type of bribery. Everyone needs water. This is really not okay, frog. What's going on? She cried out, "Oh, who'd ever want to be a nasty frog's sweetheart?" and ran away. I mean, I feel like we're supposed to judge her for not wanting to be romantically involved with this frog, but the frog poisoned her drinking water. So if someone who's trying to be a romantic interest or romantic partner of yours poisons your food or beverages, don't be with that person. That is like the biggest red flag you could ever have. So she's right here. This is a good call. Not only because it's a frog, but because it's evil and poisoned her. Then she told her sisters that there was an odd frog down at the well that made the water murky. The second sister became curious, and so she went down to the well and scooped a glass of water for herself. But it was just as murky as her sister's glass, so that she wasn't able to drink it. Once again, however, the frog was on the edge of the well and said, "If you'll be my sweetheart, my dear, I'll give you water clearer than clear." Also, what does that mean, clearer than clear? So, is it like drugs or something? Like, what is he doing? What's he doing to this water? And also, why does he have dominion over this water somehow? Where'd he come from? What kind of evil magic is this? This is crime. This is like wizard crime. He's holding the castle and its drinking water hostage until someone bangs him, basically. Like, this is like really not okay behavior, buddy. I'm not rooting for this frog at all. We continue. "Do you think that would suit me?" the princess replied and ran away. I guess she was asking that sarcastically. All right, she's also not into it. She just like wanted to see for herself, I guess. Finally, the third sister went, and things were no better. But when the frog spoke, "If you'll be my sweetheart, my dear, I'll give you water clearer than clear. She replied, "Yes, why not? I'll be your sweetheart. Get me some clean water." I like to think that this she's not actually interested in this frog as a romantic partner, because why would she? He's holding her drinking water hostage. And that's not something that a cool person does that you want to be involved with. But I like that she's like, "Fine, whatever. Just give me something to drink that's not disgusting." Like, I don't know what's going on here, but whatever. Fine. I like to think she just doesn't give a bleep about it. We continue. However, she thought, that won't do any harm. I can speak to him just as I please. A dumb frog can never become my sweetheart. I mean, fair point. Because we're talking about, like, being a sweetheart and the things that come along with that, ... I don't think that's physically possible with a frog and a human woman. So I think she's in the clear in that capacity. As far, like, the farthest they can take things is the frog just sort of like hanging around and like saying lovey-dovey things. So, like, whatever. Yeah, that's a fine price to pay for clean drinking water. Yeah, she's smart. She's a clever girl. Let's see how this goes. Meanwhile, the frog had jumped back into the water. And when she scooped up some water a second time, it was so clear that the sun neatly gleamed with joy in the glass. I like that phrase. I like the way they wrote that. Then she drank and quenched her thirst, and also brought her sisters some of the water. I would love to see the look on her sister's face when she showed up with the clean water. Because I'm sure they're like, Did you? So you're like with the frog now? You just like went with that? Like, all right. We continue. She said, why were you so simple-minded and afraid of the frog? She said to them, and afterward, I mean, because they're poisoning their water, it's reasonable to... Also, they weren't really afraid. It didn't sound like they really took it seriously. The one was like sarcastically being like, yeah, that'd suit me. And afterward, the princess didn't think anything more about it, and went happily to bed. However, after she had been lying there for a while, and couldn't fall asleep, she suddenly heard some scratching on the door, and then some singing. Open up, princess youngest daughter. Don't you remember what you said when I sat on the well on the water's edge? You wanted to be my sweetheart, my dear, and I gave you water clearer than clear. Okay, even if they're sweethearts now, cool it, buddy. Don't be banging on someone's door at night, being like, open up. Like, you don't really know each other. Even if, all right, you guys are gonna like begin a courtship now, this is not how you behave. This isn't, you don't show up at someone's bedroom door or window, banging on it, being like, let me in. Again, this isn't a good guy. This is not like a good romantic partner for anyone, whether they're a frog or not. This is not cool behavior for any living thing that wants to romance someone. Don't be like anyone in this story, really, except for the princesses who are like, nah, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not with it. I'm not about this. I'm out. They handled things correctly, I think. All right, well, oh, that's my sweetheart, the frog, the princess said. Really? And since I gave him my word, I'll open the door. All right, here's a shout out to all the ladies and everyone, really. You are under no obligation to let anyone into your room at any time, even if you are with them, romantically or in any capacity. You are entitled to your space and whenever you want it. You can keep the door closed, keep it locked. You do not have to let anyone in, even if they are your sweetheart. But they're not sweethearts. She just met this frog today. So that's a little fast coming into her personal space at night when she's sleeping. We continue. I don't like where this is going. We continue. So she got out of bed, opened the door a little, and then lay back down in the bed. I mean, yeah, I guess she would only have to open the door a little because it's a frog, but also that's like weird. That's a weird way to handle it. Like, presumably when you invite someone in a way in which they're actually welcome, you like open the door and like, oh, come on in, as opposed to like crack it open and then just go back to bed. That seems very reluctant and not welcoming at all. And if the frog takes her up on this, Again, not cool. But this frog is pretty not cool, so I bet he does. The frog hopped after her and jumped on the bed down by her feet and remained there. Okay, all right, remain by the feet. That's the most polite thing you've done so far, frog. When the night was over and morning dawned, the frog sprang off the bed and went out through the door. The next evening, all right, so if he just wants to sleep on the bottom. Like I said earlier, if this is all that is involved with being the sweetheart of the frog that gives you clean water for some reason, everything was fine before this frog showed up. So I don't know what the frog did to make himself necessary to the clean drinking water, but regardless, screw him. But I guess if this is the price you have to pay, you just sort of like gotta let a frog sleep at the bottom of your bed, then I guess, yeah, okay, fine price to pay for clean drinking water. Yeah. The next evening, when the princess was once again lying in bed, there was some scratching and singing at the door once more. The princess opened the door, and the frog lay in bed at her feet until it turned day. Why doesn't the frog want to hang out with her during the day? They could be getting to know each other if the frog actually was invested in this in a romantic sense. If the frog really cared about her, you know what I'm saying? Then he'd want to get to know her a little bit and talk to her. This frog just trying to bang anyone who shows up at his well. This isn't love. This isn't a match. This isn't about chemistry. He's trying to get with anyone who showed up. This frog is super promiscuous and doesn't care who he's with. And again, more reasons why I don't like this frog. So, yeah, if you really cared about her, show up during the day, not just at night to get what you want, which is sleeping at the bottom of the bed. But you know what I'm saying. Show up during the day and actually care about her personality. What about her interests? What about what she likes to do? It's not about sleeping by her feet, frog. We continue. The princess opened the door on the frog, lay at her feet until it turned day. On the third evening, the frog came just like he had done the previous evenings. "This is the last time that I'll open the door to you," the princess said to him. "In the future, there will be no more of this." Good for you, princess. Stick up for yourself. This is your space. Be like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is weird, and I'm not cool with it. Good for you. Taking your own space back. We continue. Then the frog jumped and crawled under her pillow, and the princess fell asleep. I would not be able to fall asleep with a frog under my pillow, especially knowing how weird the frog is, and that he held my entire family's water source hostage, and that I just told him this is the last night, and then he changed his behavior upon knowing that. That's a red flag. That's alarming, right? Tell him that the next day. Tell him that when it's done, so he doesn't do anything weird, right? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I mean, I'm sure it's going to work out, but I don't like this. There's no indication that this will work out or is positive or anything positive has happened in any way, or there's any reason to think this is a good situation or that this frog means well or is a good person. There's no indication for any of that. If anything, only the opposite. And yet, we continue. When she woke up the next morning, she thought the frog would hop off again. Instead, she saw a handsome young prince standing before her. Scary. Again, that's scary to wake up, even if they're good looking. That's not cool. This is not cool behavior. This is not acceptable behavior in any context. Jesus, prince. All right. And he told her that he had been the bewitched frog and that she had saved him because she had promised to be his sweetheart. Then the two of them went to the king, who gave them his blessing, and a wedding was held. Meanwhile, the other two sisters were angry with themselves because they had not taken the frog to be their sweetheart. The end. Don't like it. Gonna be honest. Don't like it. Don't like the ending. What? He's handsome? That's it? That's the only factor. That's the only thing that is in any way positive about this person in any way. Every single behavior that this is taken has been weird and invasive and not cool. And, I mean, okay, first, there's a few things to get to. First, I feel like sort of Frog Prince kind of lore as we've been led, or as we know it, is like it's about the inside that counts. It doesn't matter if you look like a frog or you're not good looking. If you're a good person, you're a good person, and that is attractive. This frog is not a good person. It's like this frog has done nothing nice, has done nothing good. All it did was hold a family's water source hostage and then try and seduce any of the daughters. And then be weird and like not nice. If the frog had like been really friendly and kind and helpful, not blackmailed their water source, not blackmailed them via potentially like not having any water and dying of thirst, that would have been a nicer way for them to get together. Also, I don't like that. He told her she had saved him because she had promised to be his sweetheart. I don't like that. I don't like the you can save him. I don't like that really in any context as like a romantic thing. It's not her responsibility to save him. Why does he need saving, and why should she save him? Why did he get turned into a frog in the first place? Maybe he really did something bad to deserve it. Maybe he committed genocide, and this was his punishment. And now she's saddled with him, and she didn't realize because he's handsome. So she's like, okay, I'll be with you. I saved you. Did he deserve saving? We don't know. Maybe he's a terrible person. We have no reason to believe he's not. Yeah. I don't like any sort of saved him. It's not your responsibility to save anyone. People should be okay on themselves on their own to be a good partner, right? You should be a good person on your own. Like, you should be fine on your own, and then you can enter into a healthy relationship. Shouldn't be needing to be saved. And if you do need to be, no, not even going to go down that road, but don't put that on people. Don't put that on people to save you. Yeah. But then the sisters are like jealous because this guy, again, literally, he's handsome. That is it. That is the only positive thing in the stacked up against a lot of negative and weirdness. He could talk. He could still be a good, friendly, nice person. Not a nice frog, If you're a talking frog, you can still be a welcome presence and a nice influence on the people around you. This frog was not. This frog was weird and creepy and really tight with the information. We know he can just like talk to people because he was talking up a storm before at the well. It's like play the long game, hang out at the well for a while. The daughters come down, get to know each of them, figure out, I really have a connection with this one. And then maybe something will develop. I understand he's probably pretty desperate to get a move on with things, considering he's, trapped in the body of a frog. That's understandably a frustrating situation, but I do wish he had handled it differently. If we're supposed to want the best for these characters, then they should show themselves deserving of positive outcomes. And not be weird about stuff. And yeah. I'm going to be honest, starting off having this character poison the well really poisoned the well, metaphorically speaking, in terms of my ability to then root for that character. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't like this at all. there's a version. I'm sure there's plenty of versions of Frog Prince that would make me happy for everyone involved. This one, I feel like probably gonna regret this marriage, because this is no foundation for any relationship. If they do end up happy together, pure luck. If I'm the sisters, I'm like, cool. We didn't have to do anything, and we got clean water again. This frog situation is weird. We should get some answers on how this all developed. How he got turned into a frog, why he got turned into a frog. If that wizard or whoever that turned him into a frog is still out there, and now we're like a target of them, because clearly this prince had enemies. If he got turned into a frog, and then, hey, why did this prince target us and our well? And hey, why did he like blackmail us? Why didn't he just like hang out and try to win people over naturally? Is he a good person at all? These are all very valid questions that I feel like they should be asking, and I hope they get down to. Yeah. Let's adapt this thing. Again, it's a pretty rudimentary structure of a story. Let's have some fun with it. Let's see what we get. I will see you after the break. All right, here we go. It's going to be a TV show, because I feel like we have a lot of characters who could have interesting arcs and growth and like twists and turns here beyond the story itself that I'm about to lay out. And this will just be, what I'm about to say is basically like the premise for like in like season 1. It's the setup. So I'm just going to fully lean in to the Frog Prince knowing exactly what he's doing. Okay? But the morality is going to be interesting, but the original story, it doesn't tell us like anything about motivations or the morality of the characters or where anyone stands on anything. So I'm not going to avoid that. All right, I'm just going to make it much more motivation driven and clear about that, because that's the fun part. Take that head on. It's going to still be in medieval times, and we're going to start with a castle and 3 princesses, just like the original. And let's say that the king is dead, and it's these 3 princesses that are ruling the kingdom together, because that's cool, and it also adds stakes, you know? The decisions that these people are making are directly influencing the ruling of the kingdom. I mean, in the original story, yeah, the princess will, grow up and become a ruler herself, presumably. That doesn't always happen, but presumably, so it still affected it. But in this one, it's like immediate, direct consequences on the rulers of the kingdom. And yeah, so the princesses, they're played by Mahala from the show Industry, because she's awesome. And also Marissa Abella from the show Industry, because she's awesome too. Can you tell that I watched Industry recently and I'm currently watching season 3? It's a great show. Check it out. And the last princess is played by Harry Lottie from Industry, because they don't have to all be women. Why not just make one of the siblings, one of the princesses, the prince? Who cares? What's the problem with there? So Marissa Abella is the oldest, Harry Lottie is the middle one, and Mahala is the youngest. And one day, all of the water and all the wells and all the land turns to mud, and nobody knows what's going on, and no one can drink it, and a man in a dark robe and hood shows up at the castle gates, and the guards are like, "Get out of here, vagrant." But he says, "Don't you want your water back? Bring me to your king." And he's taken to the 3 siblings, and he's told, "These 3 royals rule us equally." And the man, he takes down his hood, and he is played by Kit Harington from Industry. Because guys, watch Industry. It's great. He's also from Game of Thrones, of course. In that show, he knows nothing. But in this show, he knows everything, because he is a wizard who, is holding the entire kingdom and the water supply hostage. And for him to make the water clean once more, one of them must marry him and make him a ruler of the realm as well. He's cool if it's Harry. He doesn't mind. And they say, "This is not how we do things at all. This is wrong." And he's like, "Why not?" You were just born into this status. Why should you rule? I was born in the lowest, filthiest slum in the kingdom, and I sought out every shred of knowledge I could from every corner of the world. I mastered it to the extent that I can control water and soil and air, the very air that we breathe. My abilities to help the people of this kingdom far outweigh yours, and yet you have the right to rule while I am forever barred from these walls? And the eldest two siblings, they see the logic in this, of course, but they are very threatened by it, obviously. They feel like if they let him rule, they'll just essentially be giving him control of the entire kingdom because his power far outweighs theirs, so they need to outmaneuver him. But Mahala, however, respects his attitude and drive and his abilities, even though she has a problem with his tactics and his approach and his morality, holding everyone hostage. By the way, the thematic similarities here to the show Industry, they're there, and I'm totally here for it. So Mahala agrees, much to the shock and horror of her two siblings, that she will take him on not as her sweetheart like in the original. She's just like, all right, I'll marry you. Let's trial run. Well, let's see how this goes. And the first season of the show is a battle of wits with the siblings and the wizard using their different types of power in their favor. So the two elder siblings, they have his knowledge of history and the way the system works and customs and the way the monarchy works. They use that in their favor, as well as the favor of the people, because the wizard obviously starts out as not being very liked by the people because of what he did with the water. No one's going to like you after that. But Mahala thinks she sees the kindness in him, and she respects his drive and what he's done to get where he is, and also thinks that she can use him for good. She thinks she can be a bridge between his power and the moral virtue and kindness of the siblings. But the wizard's power, once she sees its potential, it both scares her but also excites her. So she doesn't know exactly. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, but she doesn't know exactly how she feels about it. And the two siblings, they can't prevent her from marrying him if she wants to, even though they'll try through various legal means. They'll just try to push him out or even kill him. So it becomes just a chess match of sorts. And the siblings, they change sides, they quarrel. Mahala shows him, she ultimately does fall in love with him, and she shows him love and acceptance that he's never felt before. And he transforms in a certain way because of that as well. But it also makes him more vulnerable and emotionally volatile than he's been previously. So there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of gray area. There's no real good guys or bad guys. They all mean well. I mean, the wizard doesn't really mean well, though, because he just wants to rule. But let's say that he just sort of, he was learning, he was acquiring knowledge in theory, and refining his skills. But this is the first time he's really put it into practice and seen the consequences. And so now he's seeing the consequences of his own powers, and maybe it's changing how he feels about his own powers and how he feels about his own drive and his own mission, and if he has the stomach for it, and all interesting questions. And all these types of power that these different people have, it corrupts them in certain ways, and they'll have blind spots and self-interest, and that also blinds them in certain ways. I could see this going for season after season. I would watch the hell out of this show. It's got HBO written all over it, just character studies all across the board. And that will do it for this week's episode of the ShadowBear Story Sessions. Subscribe, rate, review. We have this on audio and podcasts, on any of the podcast stuff. It's on YouTube. If you want a video, I got lights. They're here now. And I'm great. I'm great at this, you guys. Trust me, I'm super good at this. And yeah, come back next time. I will see you there.